Alright. Okay, so listen, and you shall hear interesting sounds. Anyway, so I'm just wanting to talk a little bit about Matthew Hussey. He is an online dating coach, and if you look him up, he has some really interesting stuff. He has some interesting things that he talks about, relationships and helping. He helps a lot of women out with a lot of stuff, and he's older than I am, and knows more about this thing. That's what he does for a living. But I gotta say something about him, because I think that he has really good concepts that he teaches that I hadn't honestly thought about before, and they kind of help me out of depression in some ways, because honestly I was like really depressed, and listening to him talk about relationship stuff, just the idea of it was fun. But he is not a Christian. He doesn't really try to take sides, and I think to a certain extent that is important for some people, to know that you can step out of being annoying. But I think that if someone is a Christian, they need to be 100% Christian. And it's hard to interpret what that means, because reading the Bible, you will read about it and it'll say things that seem contradictory, and honestly you have to decide how you're going to live. But he's not a Christian, and he doesn't teach that. One thing that he hasn't really taught is that someone needs to be okay. Think about this. Why do you get online so much? It's not a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. That's wait a little bit. It's not a bad thing, because there is a Bible verse that says, if any man does not drink of my blood or eat of my flesh, he shall never have eternal life. And coming out of listening to relationship videos and reading that, was like, oh, duh, of course. That's why I like watching people so much, is because, like, was one thing that Matthew Hussey says, is that he says, we were made for relationships. Well, he doesn't say we're made. He says, he may have said that. Anyway, my youth pastor, Jason Zansky, he says that we were made for a relationship with other humans, and a relationship with God. Honestly, he made us to, I think God made us to have a bit of a relationship with animals to a certain extent, not as in a sexual relationship. He actually had people appointed over the children of Israel who would go out into other parts of the world and kill people who would have sexual relationships with animals. There's a reason for this. It's not how he created things. I'm a firm believer in the fact that the earth was created by a single creator, and he made everything in 6 days and rested on the 7th day, and he made a people out of the children of Israel, and they came from nothing, and he made them into something awesome. He brought them to a land flowing with milk and honey, aka coffee. had just started drinking coffee for a little bit. I never had a cup of coffee before. I think about a week ago. No, 2 weeks ago. Time goes way too fast. Anyway, just be careful out there when listening to relationship advice on the internet. The Bible is the best place to find that. And honestly, it sounds like, when you read the Bible, it sounds like it's trying to sell itself. Everyone has to do that at some point. Everyone has to sell themselves to a certain extent, like, I'm good for this reason, you should have me for this reason. Because flowers are beautiful, living things that create fruits, and the fruit is a product of the flower selling itself and saying, hey, I'm bright and beautiful and I have all this pollen and I'm ready to grow into something. Anyway, that doesn't mean you should go overboard and be like, just living to have sex, because that is not right. God made you for so much more than that. And anyway, God bless you. Auf Wiedersehen. So the reason why the verse, if you should never eat of my blood or drink of my flesh, you shall never have eternal life. The reason why that verse is important for you being online is because online there is a whole lot of knowledge and experience of people older than you that have poured their life into something just for the sake of it, and it sometimes I think it's just to help somebody else out. And there's another Bible verse that says it's like God's talking to either Joshua or the children of Israel or Moses or and they are being warned about like only feeding themselves and never feeding other people. It's because they fed themselves and not other people. It's kind of the tone of it. And God had the people, or the leader or judge, I think at the time, go out and kill the people who decided to consume the land. This is around the time of David. They went out and they consumed the land and till there was nothing left. And so they were doing this so much that they didn't leave anything left for the poor man or the person who didn't have anything. And so God told the children of Israel to only mow the inside of their field, not to the edges, so that they would leave something for the poor man and the traveler or the sojourner. So if you notice, we are what we hear. The words that come out of my mouth are usually a result of something that I heard earlier. And so if, let's say, I listen to my mother talking when I'm a baby, I listen to my mother talking all the time for all sorts of things. Whether I like it or not, that's what I start saying. I start sounding exactly like her because that's the only knowledge that I have. I have to eat somebody else's personality, somebody else's flesh, in order to become a different sort of person. The thing about eating is that when we eat something, we don't necessarily become that thing, we just have that in our bodies. It becomes us. We don't become it because we ate it. So, if you like do online gaming, you start like, you know how to operate the game. You are in the system. You know what to do when and how to stop the evil from happening. You know exactly how to do that. That's because you were in that for so long. If you come out of that and you do something else, it's still possible to come out of that and do something else. But it's not as easy for you to come out of that and do something else because you've been in that for so long. So I think it is important when you're trying to tell somebody to get off the internet. So I used to do this. I used to tell people to get off the internet because I didn't like them being on the internet for so long. It was stealing them away from being a real person because they were on the internet so much. But I didn't realize how much we actually needed to learn and how much we actually needed to hear what somebody else's opinion about something is. It's important. It's vital. So that is why I think now that the internet is an important electronical thing, just like our brain. It is electricity, is an electrical thing. Anyway, look up Benjamin Franklin. So I am still learning a lot about a lot of things, but careful what you see and hear, and honestly, what you taste. And I would advocate for the Bible 100%. Anyway, auf Wiedersehen, have a lovely day. My name is Laura Joy.